Hey, family. It's your family CPA, Jasmine Young, and you're listening to the Talk Wealthy to Me podcast. Get you a black CPA. We out here. Hey, y'all. This is your family CPA with another episode of Talk Wealthy to Me. And listen, if you are a business owner or thinking about being a business owner, you definitely want to listen to this entire episode. I have one of my college classmates and good friends with me today, Mr. Derin Lindsey of the Derin Lindsey brand, with me to talk to us about $1 million brand. Derin, what's up?
What's up? How you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Listen, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. A lot of business owners were born during the pandemic, and unfortunately, we're still in the pandemic. So I had to bring somebody on here to talk to people about what it is to have a brand and how you build your brand. A lot of people ask me, how did you build your brand, or who does your branding? Like, where do I start? And I was like, I need to bring on a professional because I didn't do this by myself. So let me bring somebody on that could kind of give them, the ins and outs of how to have $1 million brand. So before we get into that, Derin, tell our conversationalists, as we like to call our listeners, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, my name is Derin Lindsey. I'm a graphic designer. My company is called Derin Lindsey Brand. I operate under 4 categories. That is design, health, design, events, consulting, and health.
Awesome. And y'all, he's a beast at what he does. If you've never seen his work, we're going to drop all of his social media and websites and everything that you can connect with him on, so you can see your work see his work for yourself. So let's jump right into it there. Tell us what first of all, before we get into how to have $1 million brand, what is a brand anyway?
Yeah, a brand. So a brand is basically your reputation of who you are. That's what a brand is. If I could put it into a very simple definition, I would say a brand is a definition of who you are. And how we tell that brand story would be through marketing.
Exactly. So I like how you said that a brand is who you are and marketing is the way you express who you are. Yeah. And I think when people ask me, how do you brand yourself? Like, who does all of your branding? I can't say that other people do branding for me because I am the brand. It's who I am. And I think that's why people struggle so much with branding and marketing is because when it comes to business, they try to be somebody totally different instead of just being yourself because you are the brand. So, yeah, I think once you get that who you are piece down pat, then the marketing just falls into place. Marketing is basically where are you sharing your brand? How are you sharing your brand? Through what mechanisms? And I think people struggle with branding because they really don't know who they are, or they're trying to be who society told them they should be in their specific industry. And that's what makes it so hard. Do you think that that's what the issue is, or what is the issue with people?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I think in business, period, Jazz, I think a lot of people try to keep up with, I hate to say it like this, the Joneses. And so brand identity is what really separates your brand from everyone else's. It's more so what makes you uniquely special, right? What do you, I had a meeting earlier and I asked my client, what is it that you do exceptionally well? What separates you apart from other brands, And that goes with brand identity. And that's how you have a strong brand, when you have those elements. So.
Absolutely. And I can actually speak to that. Like I guess the church people would call it a living testimony. But I was like that. Like before I really walked in who I am fully without the box that society told me I had to be in as a CPA, and then as a Black CPA, and then as a female Black CPA. I struggled with my marketing, like how I showed up on social media, like what my content was. I could never get it together because I just couldn't fit in the box. And I would try to pattern myself after like other people in the industry, and it just
feel
didn't work
that.
out for me. It just didn't work
I
out.
feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
I guess in your industry, Jazz, in relation to money, I guess there's a certain look maybe you thought that you had to fall into.
Yeah.
And I think the difference for a lot of us African Americans in business, I read your story, a lot of us are first time entrepreneurs. And so there's really no model for us to follow. So we kind of have to blaze that trail,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and do this thing our way for the first time. So whatever that looks like, you know.
Exactly. And then I had my breakthrough. You know, I took a 6-month hiatus from everything to like just focus on my mental health. And then when I was working with my publicist about, okay, what's the plan for my comeback? Like, I can't just show back up on social media and start posting. Like, what's the plan? Like, what is the plan?
What's the brand strategy?
Yeah, what was the strategy? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just be who I am and see how it goes. Like, it was literally trial and error. I was like, you know, I've tried the whole create a Facebook group to drive people to your free resources and then get them in a sales funnel to sell them. I tried it and it just didn't work for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try this one thing. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna throw an audible on the plate and just free balling and say, I'm gonna just be who I am and just see how it works. And it was like, boom. That's all it took. That is literally all it took. So once I decided, like, figured out who I was personally, professionally, it just started falling in line, because I think that's one of the things people miss when it comes to doing business. Like, they're so focused on the transaction that they forget about the relationship. So they don't even like do any personal development to figure out, who am I and how do I want to show up in business? So Derin, this is really, really good. I mean, we can't give it all away that fast. So y'all stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break for this sponsorship ad and we'll be right back. So if you haven't subscribed to my podcast, make sure you download my CPA Firms app. And once you download it, click our podcast. Once you click our podcast and the page loads, you'll be able to see all of the episodes we've ever recorded for the Talk Wealthy to Me podcast. And if you really like the show, you can support us through a monetary donation by scrolling to the top and clicking support. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. All right, y'all, we're back talking about $1 million brand with the $1 million brand man himself, Mr. Derin Lindsey. So Derin, before the break, we were talking about, you know, brand identity and all of that. Like, what are some tips that you would give business owners or aspiring business owners? Some tips that you would give them to help discover what their brand identity is.
I like that. Some tips that I would give to brand new business owners and aspiring business owners, I would say to discover your passion. And sometimes before we can get to the brand work, we have to do eternal work, right? So what is your passion, right? What do you do exceptionally well? And then figuring out how we can monetize that. And then one of the tips that I've been giving out lately is really simple, and people haven't grasped it yet. And we've done a good job at it with your website, is color. Explore the color wheel, utilize the color wheel. So oftentimes in brands, people can run to predictable colors, whether that's black and gold or red, black and white. I see predictable colors all the time. And I just that's my number one, that's my biggest tip I'm giving out lately, is to explore the color wheel. You know, outside of that, you want more? Did you say 5?
I mean, you can't give the people everything. They gotta pay for that. They gotta pay for that. But I agree with you though. Yeah. I agree with you. Like, even with my rebrand that just occurred, like, we used all kinds of colors, and the colors actually had a meaning behind it. Like, it's my Cherokee heritage. Every color that we used in our brand was attached to colors that are symbolic for the Cherokee heritage. So I definitely agree with that. So Derin, once we get to a brand identity point, how do we go about expressing that brand? Like, what's the first step, or how do we make a plan of how to express our brand identity?
Yeah, so I always start with some a brand strategy. That's basically for me your plan for your brand. Figuring out who you are for the most part, who you are, what message we want to convey, what is your brand story, and then from there I figure out what my client's mission is. I have a branding webinar coming up called Branding Basics for 2022, and I thought this webinar was so important because I've been designing for 11 years,
I
January
was like, hey, a
31st.
long
A
time
long
since we were
time.
in college. Yeah.
Yes. And what I discovered, Jazz, is that I've had some returning clients. Then I've had some clients that would come to me specifically just for a flyer, just for a logo. And at this point in my career, I'm just really, my focus is brand building, right? I want to not just design for you one time, but I want to actually help you make that business thrive. And so what's important to me is really developing these stories and developing your why and your mission and your models and really creating that solid foundation so that you have longevity.
And I'm so glad that you're doing that, Derin, because just within the pandemic timeline alone, I saw a lot of people, in all of these groups on Facebook say, I'm trying to get my brand together. And when you see the conversation is, well, I'm looking for a logo, or I'm looking, I want to trademark my name, or this was the one that got me, I want to copyright my name. And I'm like, okay, you probably need to get a little clarity on copyright and trademark before
and
you
is, yeah.
Exactly. And how that even comes into play with a brand, because I think people miss the point about branding and they immediately go to, oh, I want a logo, I want a nice website, and I'm having trouble with content. It's like it's fragmented.
Yeah, and they miss it so much. I posted today, Jazz, and I'm gonna pull it up really quickly. I posted today on my page. It's kind of shady, but it's true. I said, imagine wanting to excel as an entrepreneur, but you've never invested in yourself. You've never took a course to learn more, and you've never networked or marketed to grow your brand. And I made that post because, I wanted people to see the importance of registering for this webinar. But just in general, you mentioned people on social media asking for a logo and asking for, and the truth is, while a lot of African Americans are first-time business owners, most of us don't have business backgrounds. And so we hop into business with no desire, no plan, no strategy whatsoever. I can't tell you how many brands I started that are no longer in existence, because there was never a plan, So a lot of times we get on this train of entrepreneurship. Everybody wants a business. And the reason why a lot of them close is because there was never a plan from the beginning. But also there was no education from the beginning. Like some of us aren't attending conferences, some of us aren't taking classes, and we just start a business because we saw such and such doing it. We think that we can do it too. And if you really want to excel, in business, you've got to educate yourself. You got to pay to play. You got to take these courses. Yeah.
And I'm so glad you say that. You got to pay to play. A lot of people, they get in business and they want information for free from people who paid to play. And it's like, hey, if you can only go so far with your own knowledge. So if you're not willing to pay someone else that's not, that's more savvy in a field than you are, then you're only going to go as far as your brain capacity can take you. And I think that's very important for people to realize that. And I'm so glad that you're going to talk about that in your webinar. Now, you brought up something that triggered me a little bit. And you talked about, a plan and brands not lasting and people finding their passion. But what happens when a monkey wrench is thrown in the plan? For instance, health issues come up and it interrupts the brand. Talk to us about that.
When a monkey wrench is thrown, you brand it. You brand it. First of all, you don't hop on it immediately, but you take a moment and you sit with that thing, right? You figure out what it is, how long it's gonna last, how did we get here, and then you ask the Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? And then you turn it into a brand. I believe everything is a brand. There's brands all around us, everywhere we look. The clothes we wear, the T-shirt, the jewelry, so there's brands everywhere. And so a segue into that. Back in July, I found myself sick. Really didn't know why. Very, very random. I just felt like I was nauseous a lot, and I went and got the vaccine because I didn't know if it was going to be COVID or anything. So
Ooh,
I'm like, let me go
Rona.
ahead and get right. I didn't have the Rona too, but so I thought it was COVID, so I went ahead and got the vaccine, and I realized that I was still sick after some weeks had passed by, and I was like. Somebody told me, "Oh, men, take the vaccine. It affects them differently," and I just knew something wasn't right. But as a black man, I refused to go to the doctor essentially. And needless to say, here in New Orleans, we have hurricane season, and we had a hurricane back in August, and it knocked the power out of the city for like 3 weeks. So I ended up going to Houston after 2 days, and I was in Houston, Texas, with my family. And my cousin's husband was like, "Darren's a young man. Why is he laying down so much?" And the truth was, I really wasn't feeling good. I mean, every time I laid down, it was congestion. I just didn't feel well, and I didn't know what it was. But I'm just like, man, I don't feel good. Needless to say, Jess, I finally went to the doctor, and I was told that I had acute kidney injury, and I had
Wow.
hypertension, and they wanted to know how long have I had hypertension. And I said, I don't know. I haven't been to the doctor since I was in high school. And so, long
Wow.
story short, I was in the hospital almost 3 weeks, and it progressed to stage 5 kidney disease. And I decided around day 10 in the hospital that I was going to blog about it. And I started blogging about it under the hashtag, I need black men to go to the doctor. So I created a brand. And
And
so,
y'all hear that? That man turned his struggle into a brand. This is what you mean by using a story. What's your brand story?
what's your
Tell,
brand
tell,
story?
tell us some more, Darren. Like, what's the brand like? Give us the tea.
Yeah, it's I love it. Honestly, I told one of my friends, I won't say I like having kidney failure, but I'm glad it happened to me for multiple reasons. Because as a black man, I'm able to be a visual example of what this looks like. I'm able to be spiritually, I'm able to be an example of what God can do, but also I'm able to be an advocate for black men. One of the things I noticed as a graphic designer is that there are no black marketing materials for African Americans in hospitals. If you go to the hospital, chances are ain't no niggas nowhere in the marketing, even down
Nowhere.
to the diagrams. Like your examples are going to be images of white people, even if it's a fake, you know what I'm saying, a mock-up uh, of vessels in your body. Chances are that skin color is going to be very pale, very peach. So there's not even African Americans aren't even reflected in marketing for health, And so as a graphic designer, I'm able to utilize my gift and skills to make eye-catching marketing materials about Black men's health and able to share facts and resources with people. I've been changing my diet. So online, I share my recipes, and I started a Instagram show called Marketing and Medicine. So I talk about branding and marketing, as well as interview healthcare professionals and talk about just different areas. My categories for this brand is I need black men to go to the doctor, but I need black people to be healthy financially, physically, mentally, spiritually, and nutritionally. And so I did an event back in October, a couple of weeks after I got out of the hospital. And when I look at the time frame, I just be moving because I'm like, I ain't had this diagnosis, but 4 months in, a month later, I didn't have a health fair. But
Wow.
but
That's
it
dope
was
though.
yeah, it is dope. But I didn't want it to just focus on medical or physical. I had a personal trainer there. I had a therapist there because I wanted African Americans to get healthy all together. You know what I'm saying? And so I've been kind of pivoting my brain to be healthy, as it relates to a healthy brand, as well as it relates to being healthy physically. So really trying to make all of that coincide together.
That's awesome, Darren. And I'm so glad that you're like advocating for that you're advocating for Black men and health, because Black men don't go to the doctor. I'll be honest, like before COVID hit, I had never seen my dad go to the hospital other than for, or go to the doctor, period, other than for a physical for his job. But once he, got COVID, he was hospitalized, put on oxygen. Now he be on my mama ass like, hey, I need you to get this appointment on the schedule. And he gonna call me before his appointment and he gonna call me after. And it's like, it took something drastic like you happening, literally knocking on the door of death for him to see, I need to go to the doctor. I need to take care of myself. And I can even see a difference when he talks to us about healthcare issues, about taking care of ourselves. He didn't really have that conversation before. The only thing I can remember is that he would make sure that my mom would get me and my brother's teeth cleaned every 6 months. But that was it. So I'm so glad that you're, advocating for Black men, because we need Black men. I don't know who said we don't, but we need Black men.
Yeah, we do.
I need Black men. I love Black men. So we need y'all to, stay around and take care of yourselves. So tell us about this webinar that you got coming up. Like, what's it about? How can people get access to this webinar? Give us the tea.
Yeah, absolutely. So DerinLindsey.com, that's DERIN. LINDSCY.com. Yeah, so this will be my very first webinar. I'm beyond excited. Over the years, people would say, oh, you should teach graphic design courses. And I'm all about doing what I'm passionate about and what makes me, where I thrive and what makes me happy, right? And so as a designer, creating is something that comes natural to me, but it's not necessarily something I want to teach. And so as time went on, I believe, Jazz, you was at an event I did in Atlanta 2 years ago called Marketing and Millennials. And so I really developed a passion a couple of years ago with educating African Americans in business and hosting these networking events and bringing creatives together. And so a friend of mine, Mark Coley, told me, he said, Derin, this event was good. He said, but I never get to hear you talk about branding and marketing because you always, mediate, you always moderate your discussions. And I say, damn, well, I guess people can't really hear me talk about branding and marketing if I'm the one asking the questions. So anyways, I decided that maybe I'll start the year off with a webinar. And as I mentioned earlier, with being in business for almost 11 years, I just realized that my clients, they aren't always consistent because there's some tips and resources that they're lacking and missing out on. And so I figured, why not do this webinar and give them these essential things that can really help them last and develop longevity. So yeah, that's Branding Basics 2022.
Listen, y'all, if you have never took a course to invest in your brand, this is your sign, okay? For all you spiritual folks out there looking for a sign from the Lord. This is it. So Derin, tell us about
this is it.
Yeah, this is it. So give us more information. Like, how much does it cost? How much is the webinar? Where can people register? And what can they expect?
Yeah, so you can register at DerinLindsey.com. The webinar is $99. I believe I'll probably speak for about an hour and a half. So yeah, I'll be talking about brand strategy, developing a brand story. We'll be discussing color theory. I'll be going over some of the apps and programs that I use to create creative content, as well as how to develop a domain, different programs that I use to market, e-blast, that sort of thing. So just a variety of basics that is and essentials that you need to thrive as a business owner, as a brand.
So it sounds like to me that for the people that's looking for a DIY class on how to brand themselves and market themselves, this right here is the class they need to take. All right, y'all. So look, y'all know how we like to do it. I need you to head on over to DerinLindsey.com. Blow his website up, y'all. It's $99. You have a vet in the game giving you the basics of branding. Those looking for a website, tips and how to create content calendars. That's big on social media. How to send out email campaigns. Y'all, It's $99. You gonna get that back in y'all refund. I know y'all gonna get it back in your refund because y'all be refunding. Okay. Y'all be refunding. So go and get the class. I mean, what better way to spend your refund than investing in your business, investing in your brand. So y'all do that for me. Y'all know how we like to do it. And Derin gonna let me know if y'all get this class now. So we gonna keep tabs on that. Derin, before we go, I need you to drop your content, drop your Instagram handles. How can people connect with you if they want a consultation? Like give us the information so that people can reach out to you for all of their branding needs.
Yeah, absolutely. That is Derin.Lindsey on Instagram. That's Derin Lindsey on Twitter, Derin Lindsey on Facebook, Derin Lindsey on LinkedIn, and DerinLindsey.com. I also got, I'm an entrepreneur these days, so you know that means we have multiple sources.
Exactly.
So I have a clothing line called Another Clothing Line. That Instagram handle is acl.shop. I have 2 blogs, one called Black New Orleans and For Black Men. That's where you can follow my health journey as well as support in some merch and things of that nature. And also just support Black men. I share a lot of Black stories on that platform. And Derin Lindsey events. If you're ever in the city of New Orleans and you want to check out anything that I'm working on, you could support all of those businesses. So
y'all get on the man's social media, check out Derin Lindsey events. I've been to one of Derin Lindsey's events here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I even connected with some individuals that I'm still working with to this day. Shout out to Natasha Hall and
Natasha Hall.
Yes. Derin is awesome. Even with my rebrand, he did my website. So if you're looking for examples of his work, just head on over to shfgglobal.com and you can see you can see his work on my brand. So Derin, thank you so much for coming through. It's always a pleasure to catch up with fellow Bulldogs.
Always.
And old friends. I really, really appreciate you. And listen,
let me just say, I'm proud. I'm so proud of Jasmine Young, y'all. I've known her over 10 years at this point, and I watched her thrive as a creative. And I'm excited. She's consistent. I love her. Her email channels, everything is professional. I'm just proud of her. So shout out to you.
Yes. Thank you, Derin. Y'all, we came up in the trenches together on campus doing plays. Like,
oh my God.
We go way back. Yeah. So Derin, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that you're still here to be able to tell the story. You know, we joke and we laugh, but health, mental health as well as physical health is definitely important. So thank you for being invested in yourself and taking care of yourself, and then reaching back to other Black men to say, hey, we need to take better care of ourselves so that we can be here for other Black men and Black women, because we need y'all and we got y'all. So thank you so much, Derin, for coming through. I really, really appreciate you. Y'all, get on Derin Lindsey's calendar, connect to his social media, get in the webinar. This has been another episode of Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm your host, your family CPA. We'll catch y'all next week. Somebody say, hey, we want some. Thank you for listening to this episode of Talk Wealthy to Me. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, and share.